Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It's so great to be with all of you today. It is Wednesday, the epicenter of yet another very busy broadcast week. It is February 26th, and you guys all look great on the live chat. The Shannon Joy Show broadcasting live from Rumble, from Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV. We are platformed via podcasts with our partners over at Radcast, reaching millions of people every single month, which is just absolutely amazing. Growing every single day independently because of all of you. I want to encourage everyone watching right now to hop over to theshannonjoy.com. Theshannonjoy.com is my independent website. Sign up for the daily e-newsletter so that we are always connected. No matter what happens, if there is censoring or deplatforming or silencing, it is my one way to get a hold of all of you. So we're building up that email list. We're also thankful for our partners over at Patriot TV who are carrying the Shannon Joy Show every day from 2:30 to 2:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Patriot TV. And we have a whole host of other partners, but growing by leaps and bounds. You guys are looking fantastic on the live chat. It's just you and me, mano y mano. Today, we have the brilliant Annie producing the Shannon Joy Show. And hopefully today's show will be a little less bumpy than yesterday's show. I hate the week after vacation, everything, it's like a fire hose in my face in terms of catching up to the news cycle. And I think yesterday on the show, everything that could possibly have gone wrong went wrong, which I was really bummed out about because Jennifer Say, who is the founder and CEO of XXXY brand of athletic wear. She's the former Levi's executive that stood up for the kids during 2020 and criticized the lockdowns and the closure of schools. Now she's standing up for female athletes across the country who are being impacted negatively by the trans agenda in girls' sports. I am a fangirl of Jennifer Say, I have to admit. Like, I was so looking forward to that interview. And it was just one of those interviews where you want to like impress her and be like, wait till she sees this operation. Like, this is a well-oiled machine and everything's going to go great. And she was so gracious. We actually emailed after the show. But as you guys know, yesterday, I set the thermostat wrong. I don't know what I did. It was 90 degrees in this studio. And so in addition to being sweltering hot, my makeup is melting off my face. I'm watching my hair like wilt like a flower. It impacted the equipment, which bumped me off of the stream at some point. Jennifer was actually in a place with pretty bad Wi-Fi, so we lost her a couple times. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but at some point during that broadcast, my pen exploded. There was ink all over my hands. And Annie is producing the show, laughing hilariously. You guys are making fun of me because you can see me sweating, literally. I had to keep my arms down because my armpits were so sweaty. And I swear at one point, I actually had boob sweat. It was so embarrassing. And you never know what you're going to get with the Shannon Joy Show. And I know a lot of you were really worried that when we got the brilliant Annie Cyrus to produce this show, that you wouldn't get any more shumbles, which were all of my fumbles when I was self-producing. And I know you guys really enjoy that because you razz me on the live chat. But yesterday just goes to show that I can have a beautiful state-of-the-art studio, pristine equipment, the most brilliant producer ever, and I will absolutely find a way to mess it up. And so, yeah, it was bad. Guitar Lily, yeah, I saw your Logan's Run ink all over your hands. I don't know what happened. I literally melted in front of the camera yesterday. So if you guys want a good laugh, it was humiliating. The one interview that I just wanted to nail, right? And this is what happened. So Annie, thank you so much for helping me through that. I know, yeah, Jerry Alato, never let him see you sweat. You all saw me sweat yesterday. It was so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Podcasting via audio was so much easier than this whole video thing. We're still getting our feet underneath us. As you guys know, I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years, but it's only been the past 2 years that I transitioned from audio to video. And it really, you lose half your brain and you have to think about so many other things, even when you have a great producer. Be My Valentine, humbling, absolutely humbling yesterday for sure. KB Smile, if life is unpredictable and it gets mundane, it's absolutely boring. I agree with all of you. And you guys are the most wonderful audience. I appreciate you. And I actually love when you make fun of me because it's just also human. And that's really what we want to be these days. There is this massive push to the technocracy and artificial intelligence, and they're shoving it down our throats relentlessly. We're gonna talk about Elon today, the truth about Elon Musk today on the Shannon Joyce Show. Everything is moving so fast. The propaganda comes at us so fast. And really, I think more and more Americans are looking at this whole technocracy, AI, the push towards these massive data centers, massive surveillance and data collection on every human being, like everything about us individually, they want for their data. I think a lot of people are ready for the conversation about these new technologies and whether or not we want them. Just because Elon and Peter Thiel and all the tech bros say that AI is inevitable and we must summon the demon, that is a quote, a demon. That's a quote from Elon Musk, by the way, regarding the entering of AI. Just because they try to shove it down our throats and tell us it's inevitable and we need to get behind this, whether we like it or not. We're in an arms race with China, an AI arms race with China. So we have to become China in order to win it. I call shenanigans on all of that. We don't have to adopt every aspect of surveillance and tech that they throw at us. We can say as humans that we don't want it. And I think that's going to be a large discussion in 2025, 2026, and beyond. What elements of these new technologies, cloud computing and artificial intelligence and the Groks and the WeChats, what elements of those do we want to keep because they help humans? And what elements of those do we just want to toss because we don't like them and they're invading on our personal privacy and making our lives more difficult? Does anyone want to have to talk to an AI chat bot from the federal government about why your tax return was wrong or why you can't pay your taxes or why you didn't get your Medicare check or your Medicaid check? Does anyone really want this type of non-human automation of government functions? Government doesn't function as it is today in the United States of America. And they're not talking about cutting government, cutting the long arm of the federal government, reaching into every family, every home, every body, every corporation, company, and hospital system, gathering all of our data. They're not talking about cutting that or shrinking that or handing power to the sovereign individual or the sovereign local government. No, they're talking about consolidating all of that power into fewer and fewer hands. Elon's hands, Peter Thiel's hands, private defense contractor hands, Chinese hands, global governance. That's what they're talking about. Do we want that? Now, they're trying to wrap it up in this Republican conservative rhetoric, talking about efficiency. But as you will learn today, in no way, shape, or form is this efficiency. This is consolidation of power. And it is building, as Catherine Austin Fitts said in a blockbuster interview with our friend Naomi Wolf, they are building, as I speak to you today, Rothschild and Rockefeller type fortunes. The consolidation of power and the transfer of wealth from the middle class to the billionaire class, making trillionaires in the year 2026 is breathtaking. And they're doing it under the Donald Trump administration. Luckily, thank you, Jesus, there is pushback. And so we're going to talk about that today on the Shannon Joy Show. But it is you and me coming together on a regular basis as humans. I was talking to Dr. Mary Talley Bowden a couple of weeks ago about why it is that she and I aren't really falling into the trap of falling for the Trump administration and all the DOGE, reforms. And we were talking about how I think it has to do with the fact that she still sees patients every single day. She goes to work Monday through Friday and sits down with patients every single day.
You have to stay healthy and well at times like this. You know that I often have suffered from mobility issues, and now I don't. Part of my lifestyle is Native Path collagen. So Native Path's collagen formula is made with ingredients that are scientifically developed to increase bone mineral density, support tissue recovery, reduce wrinkles, enhance hair thickness, and strengthen nails. Who wouldn't want more collagen with all of these benefits? So right now, when you visit getnativepath.com/daily clout, you can stock up on Native Path collagen for up to an incredible 45% off today, plus free shipping. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee. You can try it risk-free today. It is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners, and it's third-party tested for heavy metals, which makes sure that it's pure and safe. It's flavorless. You can add it to anything. I add it to my oatmeal. You can add it to coffee or smoothies. Its formula makes it more bioavailable, meaning it's absorbed more easily and mixes without clumping. And the best part is Native Path is offering amazing bundle deals, 3 or 6 packs at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a trusted choice, and they offer an 800 number. You can ask any question. A real person is waiting to help. You can join a private Facebook community. I love these people. Share recipes, success stories. So that's getnativepath.com/daily clout and start your experience of transformation today.
And she hears their stories and she talks to them and has a very human interaction with them. And I said to her, I think it might have something to do with the fact that I talk to you every day. I'm broadcasting live every day, Monday through Friday, and we have our interactions via the Rumble live chat. I'm hearing back from you. I'm listening to your comments, hearing your stories. You are pointing me in a direction to which all of regular people are dealing with what we're seeing. So I think keeping that connection, that human connection, even though we're coming together digitally, right, on all these different platforms, there is a very human connection there. And I treasure that. I value that. I value all of you. You're brilliant. You send me links. You challenge me, you make fun of me. We come here in an open forum that is free. We don't censor here in the Shannon Joy Show and try to figure out what the hell is going on. As you all know, I am white knuckled on this roller coaster along with all of you. We're independent here. And we're not going to fall for the Democratic talking points or the Republican talking points or the kabuki theater that both parties engage in on a regular basis. And I will tell you, it is Groundhog Day political hell as we witness once again the Republican betrayal regarding the budget. This is the big story today. Yesterday, the Mike Johnson leading the House of Representatives, the GOP, just voted on a Trump-approved atrocity. You saw the headline of today's show. While DOGE rearranges the deck chairs on the Titanic, Trump's GOP last night passes an obscene budget, adding $20 trillion to the national debt, says Representative Tom Massie. Tom Massie, the lone Republican who voted against this monstrosity. We're working right now and we're talking to Tom Massie's team. We're going to try to get him on the Shannon Joy Show tomorrow or the next day. Probably Friday, I think, is going to be the best bet for us. I really want to talk to him about what is in this budget. Is this really America first? Is this really Make America Great Again, crushing inflation for regular people like you and me, canceling out any type of tax release while they issue a pork fest for the billionaire class. I guarantee that Trump's reforms and his budget plan will create trillionaires in the year 2026 and beyond, namely Elon Musk. Aren't there conflicts of interest there? Elon Musk has the keys to the castle, apparently, and he can cash in on all these government secrets, all of this government data, all of his access to the Oval Office. He can trade in stocks, he can invest, he can have access to his competitors' proprietary information, their patents, their donors, you name it. He has everything. We'll talk about that a little later in the program as well as we look into DOGE. But here's what Tom Massie and Daniel Horowitz have to say about the Trump-approved budget monstrosity that was passed last night with only one no vote from Representative Massie. This is from Tom Massie. The GOP budget extends the 5-year tax holiday we've been enjoying, but because it doesn't cut spending, it increases the deficit by over $300 billion every year compared to letting tax codes expire. Over 10 years, says Representative Tom Massie, this budget will add $20 trillion to the U.S. debt. This is from Daniel Horowitz, who I was texting with this morning. Whatever you think of this budget resolution, just know it will only get worse from here. This is their opening bid. This isn't even the worst of the worst. This is what they're offering to the Democrats, who were yelling about all of the cuts to all of the different beneficiary programs, right? So this is just going to get worse and worse and worse as the days tick by leading up to the March 14th budget showdown. And so Daniel Horowitz says, whatever you think about this budget resolution, just know it's only going to get worse from here. In order to get all of Trump's targeted tax cuts, they will need another $2 trillion. Plus the spending cuts will shrink because rhinos already said that they won't vote for it. When you add to that the tariffs, the crushing tariffs, which are taxes that are coming our way, about 10% increase in goods and services from China, Mexico, Canada. When you also look at the crushing inflation, in order to pay for this deficit spending, they need to churn up the money printing machine. The Federal Reserve and the New York Fed is all behind this. And so we can expect more and more rounds of crushing inflation. By the way, the Trump administration is continuing, as I speak to you today, the culling of chickens. We now have $8 cartons of chicken or of eggs because Donald Trump and his administration and Bobby Kennedy Jr. in his position over at HHS, which oversees the FDA and the CDC, are continuing the insane policy of culling, murdering millions, if not billions of chickens, which is impacting our food supply and impacting negatively one of the most important staples of the American diet in a million different ways, eggs. So why aren't they doing anything about that? I thought we were trying to be efficient. Peter McCullough was on with Daniel Horowitz yesterday talking about that. I encourage you guys to make sure that you tune in to Daniel Horowitz and his podcast on a regular basis. Everything about the budget he will be talking about. If you want to get into the nitty gritty of it, which I don't, but if you want to, I did link you in the show notes here in the Shannon Joy Show to the Tax Foundation, taxfoundation.org, and they have a full analysis of Trump's 2025 budget plan, which just proves that DOGE is a complete farce, an absolute farce. It's a joke. And it's astonishing to me that so-called fiscal conservatives who have raged about Biden deficit spending and the Biden economy and the Bidenflation, right, for year after year after year, have absolutely nothing to say about this. Have you heard anything from Dan Bongino? Have you heard anything from Sean Hannity? Have you heard anything from The Blaze or Daily Wire or Ben Shapiro or Fox News about this insanity? No, it's limited to just a few people. I have their names here Who's talking about this? Daniel Horowitz is talking about this. Tom Massie is talking about this. Todd Starnes pressed out on Twitter yesterday. Ann Coulter tweeted about this. And that's about it. If you guys have other people that, like high profile, like big names with big followings that are blasting this budget and exposing DOGE for the absolute fraud that it is, they're not cutting anything. They're rearranging, streamlining, and sending contracts to the well-connected, politically connected tech bros. That's what we're witnessing here. And, if you want all the details on that, I have all of the resources for you in the show notes today on the Shannon Joy Show. It's a total joke. It's a complete joke. And I'm going to get to the live chat in just a minute. Thank you, Annie, for grabbing some of the comments. Keep making those comments. Put them in all caps. If you want me to read them. Strident Conservative, one of our favorites, David Leach. Gee, if we only had some way of knowing this would happen before the election. David, this is why I say this is Groundhog Day political hell. All I need to do is go back to my 2016 shows, my 2017 shows, my 2018 shows, where every day, Monday through Friday, we came to you and laid out one budget atrocity after another. And every one of them was rubber stamped by MAGA and Donald Trump, culminating with the worst fascistic lockdown in this nation's history, likely in the world, the worst fascism we ever saw in 2020, when Trump handed over his presidency to Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx. Actually, it wasn't even those two yahoos. It was the Department of Defense. As we know now, thanks to Sasha Latypova and other researchers, it was the Department of Defense, the military and international military actions that laid out the COVID lockdowns and laid out and implemented Operation Warp Speed and the rollout of the COVID-19 bioweapons, which were the shots. All of this happened under the Trump administration. I hate to tell you, or I hate to say I told you so. I don't know what else to tell people here. I mean, we told you this last year during the primaries when we were smashed down, by the way, by people like Dan Bongino, who couldn't stand the fact that I was talking about Ron DeSantis, couldn't stand the fact that I was pointing out that Dan Bongino had a $200 million interest. He is a co-owner of Truth Social, in bed with partnership with Donald Trump and his son, Donald Trump Jr., as he was out there bashing Ron DeSantis, platforming Donald Trump as the only choice for the presidential nominee to run for the presidency, right? That was what pissed Dan Bongino off so much that he had to take to Twitter and call me a piece of trash and full of shit, right? So that was the scuffle with Dan Bongino the fall before last. And, it's really interesting. I never thought I would wake up one morning and realize that the guy that rage tweeted at me, a mother, thank you very much for politically criticizing him, would now be the number 2 over at a weaponized FBI that will likely go after anyone who criticizes the Trump administration. It is just a mess. Just a mess. Strident Conservative on the live chat. My radio feature today touched on this. Thank you. Huge shout out to David Leach, the Strident Conservative. If you want someone who is willing to criticize the golden god in Washington, D.C., please make sure. Yeah, I did. It was a quote. I don't typically curse, except during COVID-19, the whole year of 2020, I cursed like a trucker. I couldn't talk to anyone without dropping F-bombs because the whole thing was just so outrageous. But no, Zen woman, I just quoted Dan Bongino, the new number 2 at the weaponized FBI, right? It is kind of weird. It is unsettling to know that someone so unhinged, so undisciplined, so full of rage, with such thin skin, right, is now in an incredibly powerful position where they can go in and really make people's lives a living hell, right, with an FBI investigation. If I get investigated by the FBI, we'll all know why. I just have to put that out there right now. Yeah, Mark the Reagan. I said that Bongino was being paid for supporting Trump, and that's what triggered him. Well, I didn't say that he was being paid for supporting Trump. I said that he was invested to the tune of $200 million based on reporting that I provided to this audience that is rock solid in Truth Social, which is a platform dedicated to promoting the Trumps, Donald Trump, Trump Jr., and all of the little Trumps that are running around, all of them, right? So there is a clear financial interest for Dan Bongino to jump on the Trump train, which is fine. You have to disclose that to your audience, though, so that they can take everything you say within your analysis with a grain of salt. And Dan Bongino wasn't doing that, right? So don't present yourself to your audience as a fair and balanced commentator in a primary between DeSantis and Trump when you're 200 mil into a Trump venture, right? And expect to get away with it. And that was the discourse that I had regarding Dan Bongino. And he couldn't stand the fact that people knew that. Rick Rucker. Dan Bongino also led thousands in his audience to their sickness and death by pushing the COVID jab when it was really important in year 2021. He changed his tune because everyone knew that we had pushed back. But yeah, so just, note to everyone, if I get investigated by the FBI, we know why. I have a hostile adversary who rage tweeted at me in 2021. And so we'll see how that works out. I live a pretty simple life. I don't think I'll be investigated for anything, but you never know. They can rustle up all kinds of stuff. It's a little unsettling, right? I'm like, how many people can say that? Like, how many heads of the FBI or any cabinet members, and that's not even a cabinet position, but how often do you see like official government officials who like rage tweet and call people nasty names and swear words on social media? I don't know. I didn't know it was a thing. It's a little interesting. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. I went out on a tangent there. What were we talking about? Oh, DOGE in this ridiculous budget. All right, so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to go into, I have some great sound bites and clips for you. In fact, Annie, why don't we pull up the clip of Representative Tom Massie as we go to break. We'll come back in. I'll say hello to all of you on the live chat. And let's thank our sponsors, though, before we go to that. We are sponsored today by, as you know, our friends over at Colonial Metals Group. Paul Stone, founder and CEO over there. Also, so appreciative of our friends at the Satellite Phone Store, sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. Huge welcome to our friends at All Family Pharmacy for all of your pharmaceutical needs, including ivermectin at great prices. It's an amazing company out of Florida. And what's so unique about All Family Pharmacy is that you can stock up. So they work with your doctor, they work with your prescription, and you can get your prescriptions, everything you need through this pharmacy that supports the Shannon Joy Show. This is one of those boycott moments where you can support this show, but also get some of the products and the services that you need. All Family Pharmacy provides all of them, family-owned company. allfamilypharmacy.com/joy is the Shannon Joy page, and Joy10 is the promo code, 10% off everything when you use that promo code. So we are so thrilled to welcome All Family Pharmacy, and we're going to meet, I believe, some of their spokespeople later in the month here in the Shannon Joy Show. So let's give them a really warm Shannon Joy Show welcome. When you guys patronize our sponsors, it helps this show. Also, PCM and Associates, Dom Polano, my financial advisor for almost well over 10 years. We've been working together for over 15 years. He was the original sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show. You can find everything about Dom. He's local here, but he has clients all over the country, and he's opening up his practice to all of you. We've been friends for ages. PCMPolano.com is his website. PCMPolano.com. If you are in the markets and you want an advisor you can trust, Dom Polano is the man that I have trusted for so many years. He is a friend of the show. You will absolutely love him. So PCMPolano.com. Thank you to Dom Polano. So yes, today we are going to look at the budget. We're going to look at some of the clips, and then we're going to dive heavy into the blockbuster interview between Naomi Wolf, Catherine Austin Fitts, really laying bare the massive problem with DOGE and the February 2nd coup d'etat. I call it the coup de DOGE, when Elon Musk, accompanied by a cloud CEO and a team of technologists, including one fellow who was actually fired from his last job for leaking proprietary information and technology that he had obtained to a competitor. Sounds great, right? Usually that gets you fired. Apparently at DOGE, it gets you promoted. And so they had access to very critical private information, and it's causing huge problems. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the program. And we're going to talk about Elon Musk. Great clip that I have for all of you, video clip of Elon Musk. Is he Klaus Schwab reincarnated? Amazing clip put together that just shows how aligned Elon Musk is with Klaus Schwab. It's astonishing to me that so many in the medical freedom community, so many of our friends, so many people that you have seen on the Shannon Joy Show who have railed against Klaus Schwab. By the way, he was the head of the WEF and one of the chief promoters of transhumanism, lockdowns, the COVID vaccines, and massive globalism. He was a real bad guy. Well, is Elon just the next iteration of Klaus Schwab? Are they all working for the same team? We're going to look at that video today as well. Lots of clips for you today. Let's go to break, Annie. When we come back, we'll actually lead off with the Tom Massie clip after the disastrous GOP vote yesterday, and we'll look at the budget, and then we'll get into the bottom of the meat of the show today. All right, you guys are great. We'll be back in a moment right here on the Shannon Joy Show.
Hey everyone, Naomi Wolf here. How are you doing with your New Year's resolutions? January is here. My start was pretty easy. My resolution was to focus on my well-being, and we all know that the foundation of well-being is a good night's sleep. So if I could do just one thing to improve my sleep and overall well-being, it is taking the number one mineral for sleep, which also helps me personally on so many levels. Yes, I am talking about magnesium. Actually, I am talking about the Magnesium Breakthrough by Bioptimizers. It's 7 different forms of magnesium in this supplement, which are involved in over 600 different biochemical reactions in the body. Pretty much every function in your body is upgraded when you do take magnesium, from the quality of your sleep for your brain function, metabolism, to your stress levels. And even if your 2025 resolution is not to focus on your health, as mine is, how are you really going to be able to achieve all your goals without quality sleep and stress management support? It's hard to do that. So please do yourself a favor and make Magnesium Breakthrough part of your daily routine this year so you can get the vitality that you need to conquer your dreams. Go to byoptimizers.com/Daily Clout now and enter promo code Daily Clout to get 10% off of any order. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, you will make sure that your monthly supply is guaranteed. Again, that's byoptimizers.com/Daily Clout, promo code Daily Clout. Take care.
Yeah. Can you just talk to us? Are you still a no? Is there anything?
They convinced me in there. I'm a no.
Is there anything?
Look what let me their own numbers. If the Republican plan passes under the rosiest assumptions, which aren't even true, we're going to add $328 billion to the deficit this year. We're going to add $295 billion to the deficit the year after that, and $242 billion to the deficit after that, under the rosiest assumptions. Why would I vote for that?
So are you solidly a no?
Yeah, they convinced me. I was a lean no until this meeting. Now I'm a no.
This no confirmed.
This is a no.
Why? Why?
They're talking points. Look. These are not something I made up. This is the leadership's talking points. It adds $328 billion to the deficit. it adds $295 billion to the deficit the year after that. If the only way they get to this magic thing where it's not going to kill our country is 5 years from now, they imagine that 2.5% growth accumulates, and that even right here they say they're going to cap discretionary spending. You think we're going to cap discretionary spending and then spend at the rate of inflation after that? That has never happened. So their assumptions are wrong, but even if you take their assumptions at face value, they told us in there they're going to increase the deficit in 2025 by $328 billion. And I've been here long enough. I've been here 12 years, so I've seen a 10-year plan or two come all the way to 10 years. Under Boehner, we had these 10-year plans. Under Ryan, we had these 10-year plans. Anything past the third year never happens.
Mr. Speaker, will the budget resolution
Are you planning
pass
to move
today?
tonight?
Yes, that's the plan, yes.
In your meeting, and
Groundhog Day political hell. Groundhog Day political hell. Every single year, every single budget, it's a rug pull every single time. And so what we have seen over the past month with the flurry of executive orders and the actions of the DOGE, Elon Musk and his merry men, it's all been razzle dazzle. It's all been a distraction from what they really plan on doing. They have cut nothing. Zero, zilch. In fact, they are going to continue the Biden policy of debt and deficit spending. They will align with the Democrats and they will continue more of the same. The Republicans and the Democrats are working together, save one Republican, Tom Massie, who is a no vote. This is reminiscent of 2020 when Donald Trump shut down the United States of America with federal shutdown orders, and then asked Congress to pass the multi-trillion-dollar bill that I believe it was the CARES Act. No, it was PrEP Act, the Pandemic Readiness and whatever. But it was, they tried to pass that remotely. Tom Massie went to Washington, D.C., was the one no vote on that monstrosity. And that funded all of lockdown. It funded the creation of the poison shots. It created the liability protections for counties and hospitals, doctors and nurses who killed people on COVID floors. It paved the way, the funding for so many of the lockdown actions, the coercive measures. It was a disaster, an absolute disaster. And so once again, we are continuing more of the same. Now, the talking points that you're seeing from all of the fake conservatives, the so-called fiscal conservatives, I don't know how any fiscal conservative can look at you with a straight face and put lipstick on this pig of a budget. It's a disaster. And this is the best we're going to get, according to according to Daniel Horowitz. It's only going to get worse from here. But this is what Anna Paulina Luna pushed out to her people. Just got back, called for the floor votes. This is, she's talking about the bill. We are passing reconciliation to highlight a few things. No tax on your tips. Well, if restaurants are closing across the United States of America because Main Street is getting smashed by inflation in food costs and tariffs, then it doesn't matter if you're a waitress. You're not going to get tips anyway because the restaurant that you worked at is going to be closed. No tax on overtime. Oh, really? You think we're going to have overtime in an economy that is screeching to a halt because everything they're doing is moving money out of Main Street, out of local small to medium-sized businesses and into the billionaire and trillionaire class? No way. Tax relief for seniors? Okay, I'll believe it when I see it. America First tax breaks for products manufactured in the U.S. That will be offset by the tariff axes that are set to come into play in the next 2 weeks. Balanced budget resolution, meaning at a minimum, it's deficit neutral. That's just a complete bold-faced lie. And they don't care if they're lying to your faces. They just don't care. They're going to lie straight to your faces and tell you that the grass is green and the sky is blue. And so many people actually believe it. Only dolts would fall for this. We're going to get crushed, guys. Oh, this is what I don't even know who, Representative Marlin Stutzman. This is what he talked about the budget. The American people can rest easy tonight knowing that the House Republicans have successfully overcome the first hurdle in putting our country on a path to fiscal sanity. This is insane. We are living in la la land. The Budget Resolution Act passed by the House without a single Democrat vote will keep Trump's tax cuts in place for American families, provide crucial investments to Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and the billionaire tech bros, crucial investments in securing our country's border and increase American energy production to the levels that were previously unimaginable. President Trump ordered one big, beautiful bill, and the House GOP delivered the monstrosity. And it's just going to get worse. This is from Croaky Cayman. Now, resources for this budget. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details. Daniel Horowitz will lay all of this out for you. We're working on bringing Tom Massie into the Shannon Joy Show, hopefully this week, to talk about the budget. I also linked you guys to the Tax Foundation's full analysis of Trump's 2025 budget plan. So if you want all the nuts and bolts details of this, you can go ahead and grab that on the show notes here in the Shannon Joy Show. But, this is from Croaky Cayman, and I highly, highly recommend. I think he might be an actual billionaire. I'm not sure. That's his pseudonym. He has a Substack, and he's also very proficient on Twitter. And I want to have him in on the Shannon Joy Show as well. I think he joins John Burke from time to time, and he's pretty brilliant. I love how he writes. And this is from his Substack. First, he absolutely annihilates this budget, annihilates it. So you can go, and this is also linked in the show notes, and take a look at that. But then he talks about what a joke DOGE is. DOGE is a complete joke. They are cutting nothing. I'm going to be right, and everyone else is going to be wrong. Croaky is right. John Burke is right. Daniel Horowitz is right. Everyone telling you that DOGE is a complete joke is going to be proven right. And I cannot believe that so many smart people that we aligned with in the medical freedom community and the freedom community at large are falling for this crap and falling for Elon Musk. It's really beginning to annoy me. He writes this. Now let us turn to the bureaucratic dumpster fire that is the Department of Government Efficiency. If it were an actual DOGE, it would be the kind that chases its own tail until it collapses in exhaustion. The great Muskian experiment has achieved its so-called savings largely by canceling federal contracts, a decision so short-sighted that even a drunken Keynesian partying with a monitress could have warned them about the consequences. Many of these contracts will have to be renewed later in the year, but now at higher costs, thanks to disruptions, inflation caused by increased spending, penalties, and renegotiation. And even those canceled contracts, many of those canceled contracts, they've gone back now and reinstated. So they're retracting a lot of the contracts that they canceled because they're realizing that they can't cancel them. And that was written up in the New York Times. Naomi Wolf details that in her piece that is also linked here on the Shannon Joy Show, How Not to Be a Patriot, which we'll get to in a little bit. Adding to the spectacle, DOGE's staff cuts included firing workers that in their infinite wisdom, they later realized were actually needed. And so, like a deranged game of musical chairs, the government is now rehiring employees. By the way, this is all linked and sourced by Croaky Cayman. The government is now rehiring employees, some at higher salaries, I kid you not, and some after being given a cash out payment. So they paid cash to fire employees or have them resign, DOGE, all right, then realized they needed them to perform necessary functions of the government and have now hired them back at higher wages. Okay, this is the dumpster fire that is DOGE. All right, because finding and training new talent is expensive. The supposed savings in payroll, therefore, have morphed into higher turnover costs, reduced efficiency, and a lot of very expensive consultants making money out of this self-inflicted chaos. But the real kicker, says Croaky Cayman, DOGE's accounting savings include figures that don't even exist. They've counted potential savings from anticipated reductions in fraud and waste, which is a gobbledygook of numbers, invented coming out of thin air that have no basis whatsoever, no foundational basis, right? Saying they made up the number, which is a bureaucrat way of saying that they made up the number to make it sound good. I could just as well claim to have saved $100,000 a year by not buying a yacht, says Croakey. The consequences of this clown show. When you take the inefficiency of the dumpster fire that is DOGE, by the way, they also stole very proprietary information and probably trillions of dollars worth of your data, government data, and competitor information. Mind blowing, okay? But the consequences of this clown show, says Croakey, these two disasters, the disastrous budget, which is a complete, they're not even stabbing you in the back. They're stabbing you in the heart. They're screwing you. Trump and his team are screwing you to your face. They're giving you the middle finger and they're laughing at you. They're laughing at you. They're saying these people are so stupid. My MAGA followers are so dumb and so ignorant and so emotionally connected to whatever it is MAGA is that we can screw them to their face and they're going to say thank you. They're doing this because they can, which is, I just cannot understand this. So combining the two disasters, says Croakey, the House budget and the DOGE's pretend cuts. Who's the girl that told you that from day one? Who is the girl that told you that from day one? All right? And I'm not happy about being right, by the way. I pray to Jesus every night that I'm wrong about all the things that I say. And that is a fact, because I would like a stable economy. This business, this show is growing more than it's ever grown in the history of the Shannon Joy Show. I finally have like a somewhat thriving business here. It's small, but it's thriving. I desperately, desperately want a thriving economy. I want this economy growing. I want people doing well that helps all of us. I want my children to graduate from high school and college and have a functioning economy, have hopes and dreams, something to aspire to. I want them to be able to pursue happiness and a livelihood in freedom. I desperately, desperately pray that the things that I'm saying to you are not going to come to pass, but they do, because we live in truth here on the Shannon Joy Show. And those of you who stick with us, those of you who are with us, you live in truth as well. And truth is hard. It's not easy because you have to constantly question your long-held beliefs. You sometimes have to question and challenge people who are your friends. You lose friends. You become alienated because there are power structures that do not want truth-telling, right? It's not easy. But these are the consequences of us sticking our head in the sand and being blinded to what is right in front of our faces. Number one, an increased deficit. Despite the song and dance about responsible budgeting, the combination of unfunded tax cuts and phantom savings will add at least $2.8 trillion to the national debt as it stands right now, says Croakey. And then when you multiply that and extrapolate that over 5 years, that is likely where, 5 to 10 years, that is likely where Tom Massie gets his number of $20 trillion. Number two, contract termination debacles. The canceled federal contracts will have to be picked up again, but now at higher rates due to inefficiencies and penalties. 3, workforce chaos. Firing and rehiring essential staff will cost more in the long run, making government operations more inefficient. Accounting hallucinations. The budget is being built on imaginary savings that will not materialize, says Croakey Kamen, making it a fiscal version of vaporware. And political hypocrisy. The same politicians who decried reckless spending under Democrats have now enthusiastically embraced a budget that grows the deficit at a record breathtaking pace, picking up the ball from the Biden administration and carrying it down the field towards destruction once again. Groundhog Day political hell. Brought to you by Donald Trump, MAGA, DOGE, Elon Musk, and all of the sycophantic so-called conservative squawkers telling you that this is all right. This is the reality. Pay very close attention to your favorite conservative talker, platformer, podcaster, influencer, and see if they're telling you the truth about what is really going on in Washington, D.C. We'll be back in a minute to continue the program right here on The Shannon Joy Show.
Hi everyone, Naomi Wolf here. Ashish Kumar Jha, who was the former Biden administration COVID-19 response coordinator, recently gave a chilling speech at the University of Michigan School of Public Health. Jha warned of a new age of pandemics, fueled by bioweapons development and by natural threats. He called for massive investments in vaccines against pathogens that don't even exist yet, and urged a war against so-called, quote, misinformation. But the question we need to ask is, who's working on bioweapons, and how many labs are there globally? Yes, Trump won, but that doesn't mean that evil is not still lurking in the background, and being prepared, no matter what your politics, is always the best defense. The wellness company's Contagion Emergency Kit, developed by Dr. Peter McCullough and his medical board, includes 5 critical life-saving medications, such as ivermectin, Tamiflu, and a nebulizer. It includes hydroxychloroquine. Every household can now have access to these hard-to-get medications without any of the red tape. It's so simple. Fill out a digital intake form and your kit will arrive in 1 to 2 weeks. Don't wait until the powers that be put their plans into action. Stay ready for the unexpected. History has shown that only that way can you really stay safe. Head to dailyclouthealth.com and use code DAILYClout to save $32 off plus free shipping. Kits are only available to U.S. residents. I really urge you to go ahead and protect your family now. dailyclouthealth.com and use promo code DAILYClout. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. How is everyone feeling? I was just chatting with Annie, my producer, during the break, and she's like, Shannon, things are bad. Things are really bad. And listen, you've got to acknowledge truth. I'm a rip the Band-Aid off kind of gal. I don't like inefficiency. And so, when I see things, and even if it's bad, I feel like we have to face it, right? The faster we can face these things, the faster we realize that we're being betrayed by Republicans, we're being betrayed by MAGA and by President Trump in many, many ways, despite some of the few good things that they're doing, the faster we will be able to mobilize and collaborate and come together and fight back. We're going to have to battle this administration. That's just the way it is. We are going to have to battle this administration. And so this is why, if you guys are feeling a little bit despondent after that last segment, please don't. And I want to invite you guys to come and join us. This is why coming together as humans physically in a space is so incredibly important. It's why I put on the Summits for Truth and Wellness. Every year, this is the 3rd year of the Summit for Truth and Wellness. We are all meeting here physically in Rochester, New York on March 29th. And it is a lineup of truth seekers and truth tellers, amazing people who are also willing to rip the Band-Aid off, are also looking at this administration with clear eyes, and will be giving crucial information to all of you about what is coming in 2025 and 26. These collaborations are so amazing. If you have come to a previous summit, we have packed the auditorium at Bethel Christian Fellowship on East Avenue in Rochester, New York. We've gotten up to 1,200 people in that room. We live broadcast it throughout the day, but we want to see you there in person. I want to meet you. I want to shake your hand, and you will be treated to presentations, very conversational presentations from Naomi Wolf, who we're going to be featuring today on the Shannon Joy Show, Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Mary Talley Bowden, Mary Holland, Sasha Latapova, Aaron Day, who is an expert on technocracy, Paul Stone, who knows what time it is regarding the budget and deficit and how important it is that we have some type of gold backstop. He is our expert here on the Shannon Joy Show. He will be there live in Rochester, New York on the panel. Also, Jeff Dornick, he understands the importance of free speech. He's building a platform that will not be censored. If we have trouble with Twitter because of Elon, if we have trouble on any of the platforms, even here on Rumble or some of the other platforms that we are on, if we start to get censored, Jeff Dornick and his team are building up a new platform that will be free speech. We're platforming everywhere. Those are just a few of the names. Werner Mendenhall, who is one of the best attorneys in the country, one of the most winning attorneys in the country in terms of informed consent and medical freedom. He will be with us on March 29th, right here in Rochester, New York, at the Summit for Truth and Wellness. All of the proceeds, every bit of ticket sales, everything we raise on the day of the event is going to go to Americans for Healthcare Alternatives. That is AFA. They co-host this presentation with me, and we just want to bless them with as much support as humanly possible. AFA is dedicated to building a brick and mortar parallel health and wellness center right here in the Finger Lakes region of New York State. And they have a very clear mission, and we want to help them do that. This is the point of these summits. They are amazing. This one is going to be very conversational. It's not going to be speakers at a podium with PowerPoint presentations. It's going to be me on stage with panels. And so we're going to put them together, and it's going to be very little of me and a lot of them interacting with each other about the most important topics of the day. We're going to hit financial. We're going to hit the technocracy. We're obviously going to do health and wellness, the cancer epidemic, vaccine injury, and treatments. We'll talk about ivermectin. Dr. Pierre Corey is an expert in that field. The skyrocketing death rate and injury rates. We are still suffering from the fallout of the poison jabs. So Mary Talley Bowden will be on panel to talk about that as well, along with Dr. Pierre Corey. These are going to be very intimate conversations, and we're going to spend a lot of time interacting with you. So we're opening up a lot of time for meeting and greeting and mingling during the course of the event, and you guys are absolutely going to love it. Get your tickets now because we have come close to selling out previously. So please go to summitfortruth.com right now. If you haven't gotten your tickets, get them immediately. We need to know what we're dealing with in terms of the crowd. Summitfortruth.com. And I'm actually adding additional guests, and some of them are potentially really big. So this is going to move and change, but it's going to be an amazing day. Summitfortruth.com right now, summitfortruth.com. If one of you wants to pop it into the live chat and onto the comments section of the Rumble page, that would be great. That way people can have access to that website. Tickets are $39 for the full day. Doors open at 9 a.m. We close up around 4 p.m. and it's going to be an amazing day. Every time I put these type of people in a room together, the collaborations, the energy, and just those collaborations afterward are so meaningful. Like people become friends for life, colleagues for life, and they do amazing things together. So it's going to be great. Thank you so much for pushing out that Summit for Truth. You guys are great. Be My Valentine says, can't wait for the Summit for Truth. Yes. They haven't won. We can still win. But what we need to understand is that I think this happened right around, I think it was post 2021, when they realized that those who were protesting lockdowns, the medical freedom movement was so large and so powerful that we actually succeeded in achieving a 35 to 40% refusal rate of the COVID-19 vaccine. That is a massive, massive voting block. It is a powerful movement. And I think when they realized, sorry, my phone's ringing. I think when they realized that that movement was strong, they had to deploy, from my perspective, change agents into the movement. A lot of people who were promoting the vaccines then became detractors of the vaccines. And that's when you saw a lot of that movement. They were kind of us, but not really us. And so I think that had the impact of kind of breaking apart. What is MAHA now? I don't know. And so what they needed to do, though, was go in, infiltrate our movement, and make sure that people were directing us back to what their plan is, which is obviously the global technocracy. That is the reason we saw people like Callie and Casey Means enter the scene. We see Vana Hari, the food babe. We see changes in the rhetoric and demeanor of some of our best heroes in the medical freedom movement. And so I think what we're going to have to do is restart a new movement. It's going to have to be opposed necessarily to this administration and absolutely to Elon Musk. And that brings me into the final discussion point and piece of this show. We're going to talk about DOGE and the problems with DOGE, Elon Musk, and what he did with his team on February 2nd. We're going to rely heavily on two links in the Shannon Joy Show notes. So if you scroll down, you'll see a link to a discussion between Catherine Austin Fitts and Naomi Wolf. It's an absolutely critical discussion. I have 3 sound bites from that interview that we're going to be playing for you in a moment here on the Shannon Joy Show. We're going to go through those, but also a very important piece from Naomi Wolf entitled How Not to Be a Patriot. Naomi right now is being hammered because she is one of the first to stand up and speak out. By the way, she endorsed President Trump last year. She was very optimistic about President Trump. She was open-minded about Elon Musk, and she used her platform to help push him over the finish line and rally the medical freedom community to vote for him, which I'm fine with, quite frankly. I took a different position, as you know, in the fall or in November of 2024. I declined to vote for either Trump or Biden because I believe they're on the same team. So I wrote in my vote. But I was completely open to many of my colleagues in the medical freedom movement voting because they saw Trump as untested. They thought he changed his ways, that the assassination attempt and everything he learned over the past 12 to 18 months had changed him. I didn't believe that, but they did. And that's reasonable to believe that a person can be changed. And so that was part of the analysis for them, putting their weight and their endorsement behind Donald Trump. And I'm not speaking for Naomi, but I know that those were the conversations that I had with many of my friends and colleagues that are very highly platformed in the medical freedom community. That was kind of the analysis, that we've got to give him a shot. He's better than Biden. It's a lesser of two evils. We don't like these things or that things, but he's surrounding himself with people like Elon Musk, who set us all free and loves free speech on Twitter, and Bobby Kennedy Jr., who's going to go into HHS and save us all. And so that's kind of the rationale. Naomi now has come out and she is writing extensively and speaking out extensively about the problems with DOGE and the problems with Elon Musk. And before we get into her piece, and she's getting absolutely hammered and eviscerated, right now would be a really great time to send a nice note to Naomi Wolf and thank her for being honest and truthful and platforming her concerns, because it is a really tough position. I've been there before, where everyone, all of your friends, colleagues that you've worked with, people you've been on their shows, they've been on your shows, and now all of a sudden you're totally blacklisted. You are off the reservation. You are completely censored, and some of them are borderline hostile to you. I'm experiencing that right now as well, and it's not a fun place to be. But we are trying to pursue the truth here. And so, her piece, How Not to Be a Patriot, explains what's going on with that, and also explains more clearly how dangerous DOGE is. So let's start this discussion. We have 4 clips for you. I want to start this discussion, if I could, and I do want to, towards the end of this, go back to the live chat and get some of your comments. And again, Naomi is going to be at the Summit for Truth and Wellness, along with Sasha Latapova, who is also linked in today's show notes. Sasha has penned an open letter to RFK that hopefully we'll get to at the end of the show as well. Sasha's going to be at the summit, and she's been brilliant. She's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, she is one of my favorite analysts, and she has been since day one, since the lockdowns of 2022. Let's start with the Elon Musk. There is a compilation video that was created. It's making its way on across Twitter. It was posted by the last American vagabond, who is another Ryan Christian. And he's also someone I would like to get on the Shannon Joy show in the next month or so, because he is part of a growing group of fully independent broadcasters and podcasters that are joining me in their critique of DOGE, Elon, and Donald Trump. They were also anti-lockdown, anti-vaccine mandate, and all of the things. So they've been right on all of the critical issues, and they're not falling for the trap of a lesser of two evils. So this is going to be a very important group to watch. Whitney Webb is among them. Derek Bros is really great. The Ikes are pretty good. Some of them have some ideas that are a little out there, but we need to find competent, good journalists, commentators, and researchers who are not aligned with either political party right now, either Democrat nor Republican. They can't be drinking the Kool-Aid and worshiping the Doge and Elon Musk and fanboying, posting Marvel pictures of Trump with his head superimposed on like a Marvel hero character, which is just beyond me. We don't need sycophants. We don't need, the clapping seals. We need hard-hitting researchers who are willing to take the slings and arrows when they tell the truth. And so please keep it tuned here, because I don't want you just to have this show as a resource. I want to push out to as many shows as possible. I want to give you guys the best resources that you can possibly have. Croaky Cayman is another great one, must follow on Twitter. And hopefully you can begin to build a roster of trusted sources so that you can navigate what's coming in 2025 and 26 and actually potentially thrive in this chaos. We can win, right? They saw how powerful that 30 to 40% of Americans that refused the vaccines, how powerful that coalition was. So they had to come in, infiltrate it, and break it up. We have to put it back together and put it back together fast. So we need to wake people up as fast as humanly possible. I am thrilled that Naomi is pushing this out. Daily Clout is a huge platform. And so she's doing really amazing work. We definitely need to support her. So let's start with this Elon Musk compilation that was put together by the last American vagabond. And it's powerful because it superimposes, or it compares and contrasts. I'm sorry, superimposes is the wrong word. It compares and contrasts Elon Musk in his own words and his most important agenda items with Klaus Schwab, who was public enemy number one as the head of the WEF during the lockdowns of 2020, 21, and beyond, right? And he puts them both together in a video, very powerful. Let's take a look at that to set up this conversation between Catherine Austin Fitts and Naomi Wolf.
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is vaccinated.
Are you vaccinated, if I
Yes.
may ask?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very pro-vaccination.
Yeah.
I believe the science is unequivocal.
Can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, just think of sensors planted into our brains.
Basically implanted in your skull. So, but it would be flush with your skull. So you basically take out a chunk of skull, put the Neuralink device in there. You'd put the electrode, you'd insert the electrode threads very carefully into the brain.
It doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you if you take a genetic editing.
It's a fusion of the physical, the digital, and the biological world. That's really the essence of the fourth industrial revolution.
A merger with biological intelligence and machine intelligence.
An effort for man to merge with machine in a healthy way.
Yes.
To beat machines, you basically have to merge with machines.
Most likely, yes.
As work is changing, is a universal basic income really a solution to this problem?
I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. And I think some kind of a universal basic income is going to be necessary.
Decarbonization of the economy.
Where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
I mean, my top recommendation, honestly, would be just to have a carbon tax.
This global reset is necessary.
All right, so Elon Musk and Klaus Schwab, in their own words, and there are dozens and dozens and dozens of videos and sound bites of Elon Musk laying out in very plain terms what he believes, his philosophy, his ideology. And the ideology is transhumanism. Klaus Schwab talked about the fourth industrial revolution. This is the 21st century economy. The 21st century economy, according to Elon Musk and Klaus Schwab, does not include humans. They don't need humans. The elite class won't need humans to perform basic vital functions because they'll have robots. They'll have artificial intelligence. They will be so insulated from the average working class humans that they won't need us. And this is where the universal basic income comes into play. Elon Musk is predicting that your job as an accountant will go away. Your job as an attorney will go away. Manual labor jobs will go away. They will be replaced by robots. And so when that happens, what he's saying is that for the remaining humans that are useless, according to people like Elon Musk and Klaus Schwab, they will have to give you a universal be some sort of digital ID connected to a digital social credit scoring system or a carbon scoring system. This is where the carbon tax comes into play. You have no job. You have a token or a digital currency to trade like food stamps. So you get your vital, essential, needs met, housing and food, or whatnot. And then you will be taxed according to how much you use. So they will know when you're awake, when you're sleeping, where you're going, if you're in your car, how much you're consuming, how much you're producing, if what are you producing is efficient or necessary for them, and you will be taxed accordingly. That's the carbon tax. Transhumanism, the brain chip. I cannot understand how any believing Christian or professing Christian cannot have a problem with the fact that Elon Musk would like to place a brain chip in your skull and plug you into an interface so that the massive data centers that they are going to build all over the nation via Starlink and Larry Ellison can collect all of your human data, can download all of your thoughts and feelings, can monitor your heart rate, what the functionality of your body, can know where you're going, can track you on a regular basis with his Starlink technology. Like, the guy is nuts, okay? The guy is full on mad scientist nuts. But he thinks he can do this and he wants to do this, and they do not care if they kill a few billion humans in order to usher us into their new 21st century utopian reality where we have nothing and we're happy because we don't know better. And they have everything. They own everything. Every physical asset, land, gold, silver, everything of worth and value in this world, on this planet, belongs to them. The elite oligarchical class given to them by the technocratic class. This is how they think. All right. And obviously the mRNA. And this is evidenced by the fact that our federal government is still investing billions of dollars into research and the production of mRNA technologies. This is evidenced by, as of today, Donald Trump and his administration are culling millions of chickens right now as they invest probably millions or billions of dollars into mRNA technologies to be injected into the remaining healthy livestock, thus injecting that technology into our food source. Who knows what's going to happen with that? People, wake up. People need to wake up about this. I don't know how more clearly I can present this to you in their own words. I do not understand how anyone in the medical freedom community, many of whom have been on this show, many of whom were heroes during the lockdowns of 2020 that you know on this show, I cannot believe that any of them are platforming, promoting, defending, or giving any cover to Elon Musk whatsoever. This guy is a mad scientist, megalomaniac, control freak, narcissist, billionaire playboy who will be a trillionaire. I wouldn't even call him a playboy. He doesn't have sex. That's how weird he is. He has 13 children with 4 different wives, and he doesn't even do it the fun way. He artificially inseminates them so that they have maximum DNA potential. It's crazy. This guy is nuts. What are we doing? I feel like Cher, snap out of it. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. And these guys are just morons. I'm sorry, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin. What? I don't know what these people are talking about. This is why we need new people, new researchers, new reporters, new journalists, or old journalists who weren't platformed before who need a voice. And let's go now to the, Naomi's piece that I encourage you guys to read, How Not to Be a Patriot. First, she talks about how, she's done some of the best work exposing DOGE. If you want all the receipts, if you want everything, go to her Substack, you'll get them. She said, her argument was that DOGE can obtain for President Trump all the riveting headlines that many Americans are cheering related to the ferreting out of fraud waste without taking the crazy risks with our data or causing potential terminal damage to our cybersecurity that they appear to be taking. And so, she's just trying to warn about this. She was met with absolute vitriol. Basically, she said, I've been called a lot of names online, sadly, have also sustained a plethora of cancellations of subscriptions and donations, both here and at Daily Clout, from former supporters who are very clear that they are upset with me for criticizing DOGE. And her criticism came in the form of an interview with Catherine Austin Fitts that is also linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. And we only have 10 minutes left in the program, so I want to get to these videos before we run out of time. But in this, in the show, it's a 1 hour, 8-minute full video interview with Catherine Austin Fitts. And it's entitled, I don't know the title, but it is her interview with Catherine Austin Fitts. And yes, it's linked in my show notes. I want to start, there are 3 clips here, but I want you guys to watch the entire interview because this one's critical in your understanding of the bigger picture. Let's start with the alignment of Palantir and Elon Musk, the danger of the tech bros who are surrounding President Trump and controlling the flow of information to Trump via Susie Wiles. This is important. She talks about Rothschild-level fortunes being made right now. This is from Catherine Austin Fitts and Naomi Wolf.
If you look at Musk's companies, according to public reports, he is out in the private markets, not the public markets, raising more capital on SpaceX, XAI, and X. Okay, so while he's doing this and grabbing data that's causing Palantir's and presumably his market share valuations to rise, he's basically grabbing data that is causing all these companies' valuations to go up.
Oh my God.
Right. Now, we're talking about massive violations of the conflict of interest laws. Probably is what it looks like to me. But
Wow.
If you look at what the market is saying about the value, to me, of possible access to DOGE data, it's extraordinary.
Wow.
And, we're talking about on all these different companies, and Visa has a partnership with X in that time period from January 27th to when I calculated Palantir, they were up over $40 billion. Right. So remember, because Musk has said he wants to turn X into an everything app, including financial. Okay. So I'm looking at $250 to $500 billion of market valuation added to a small group of companies. During this period, as part, I believe, of his planned sales, the CEO of Palantir sold some stock he sold over $1 billion of stock.
Oh my God.
So you're talking about Rothschild and Rockefeller kind of fortunes being created here with this data. And that's why I think your video on the sack of Rome was so good, because you really gave people a sense of the value of the money.
And so you heard Catherine Austin Fitts there, Rockefeller and Rothschild type fortunes being made as I speak to you today by people like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. Every bit of data that Elon accesses through DOGE with his cloud team and his technologist team is translating into massive increases in valuations in all of his companies and businesses and Peter Thiel's companies and businesses, and likely all of their close associates, the tech bros or PayPal mafia or Silicon Valley. This data is worth trillions of dollars, and they have it. They have everything. We don't even have an understanding of how valuable this data is. I could be even understating this, right? This is classic insider trading. These are huge conflicts of interest. And right now they are becoming more and more powerful, perhaps even more powerful than President Trump himself and his administration. This is why you are seeing now, and this is good news actually, Kash Patel, Marco Rubio, and also Tulsi Gabbard pushing back against Elon's demand that their employees send him an email detailing everything they did in the past week. There is a major power battle that is shaping up here that is going to be disruptive to every American. Let's go to the next segment here about the uniparty establishment 100% behind this. People in positions of power, the Federal Reserve, the billionaire bankers, the tech bros, and top Democrats like Chuck Schumer are 100% behind this. This is clear evidence of the uniparty, which I have talked to you guys about in so many ways. So let's look at this clip right now of Catherine Austin Fitts and Naomi Wolf.
Now, let me just point out something really important to understand. Remember at the beginning of the last Trump administration when Chuck Schumer said, you know, the president will learn he's got to do what the CIA wants. They have 52 ways from Sunday to get him, you know. And there are two operations. So you have being created here with this data. And that's why I think your video on the sack of Rome was so good, because you really gave people a sense of the value of the money. Now, let me just point out something really important to understand. Remember at the beginning of the last Trump administration when Chuck Schumer said, you know, the president will learn he's got to do what the CIA wants. They have 52 ways from Sunday to get him, you know. And there are two operations. So you have the CIA and the 17 intelligence agencies of the United States government, and you have the New York Fed. The New York Fed every day is borrowing money because we're running as a deficit. So they're selling treasuries to our pension funds and retirement funds, getting the money and putting it in the bank account and transacting the bank account. Now, the reason that the president or Musk or any of these people can do things is because the New York Fed continues to finance it. The minute the New York Fed says, oh, no, you can't do that, they can't do that. I mean, Jay Powell has already made clear the president doesn't have the power to fire him, you know, or ask him to resign. I mean, anyway, so the New York Fed and the CIA are not stopping this. And they could stop it like that. Or I shouldn't say the CIA, the 17 intelligence agencies. So whatever is happening, this has enormous establishment support.
Wow.
Okay? And it's important because if you look at what...
Annie, because I want to get to the last segment. So whatever is happening here has enormous establishment support, meaning Democrats and Republicans, the bankers, the technocrats, the CIA, everyone is behind whatever is happening here. It is a uniparty operation, and it is likely being deployed outside of our elected officials. Okay. And she goes on to say this final clip is absolutely critical when she talks about Elon Musk. And she says a very critical statement about Elon Musk, that he's not operating as a man. This is clearly an operation, right? There's a massive operation behind Elon as he aligns up with President Trump in what Naomi and Catherine would say is a coup d'etat. Let's listen to this last clip.
Whatever Musk is doing, I did a count of how many Elon Musks exist.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 6 companies that all require 6 full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We have 24/7 posting under Elon Musk's name on Twitter. That's got to be at least 3 to 5 people, right?
Right.
We have he's a champion gamer. That has to be 1 to 3 people. He's at all these different events that, how many events can you be at the same time? So what we're watching is not an entrepreneur, it's an operation.
Not an entrepreneur, an operation. What is happening with DOGE and Elon? Whatever it is that Trump is opening the door to is not one man. Elon is a personality. He is a character. He is a front man. But there is a massive, well-financed, sophisticated operation behind him that is likely funding many of the conservative voices that you are listening today that are defending him relentlessly. It is an operation that has penetrated the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. It is an operation that has penetrated likely intelligence that is operating from the bottom up, that has been deployed. This is why you feel like you have a fire hose in your face. This is why they started with this massive onslaught of good news, all of the winning, all of the executive orders, all of the DOGE cuts, all of the DOGE, efficiency standards, all of the things, right? Because we are in the middle of an op. We are in the middle of a mass formation event. It is absolutely similar to what we saw in 2020, the surreal experiment that seemed like it was completely coordinated and everybody was using the same talking points. And it's hard to say how many people are in, but whatever we're seeing here, at least surrounding Elon, is clearly sophisticated and has multiple people behind it. There's no way he could be at all these events. There's no way he can run all those companies. There's no way that he can be gaming 24/7. There's no way that he alone could be tweeting 24/7. There's no way that he could be operating the DOGE and all of the companies without a team doing all of these things and doing them seamlessly and presenting themselves as Elon. This is what we're up against. And I wish, we need people to get up to speed like really fast, because it can't be left to simply, Whitney Webb and Sasha Latapova and Naomi Wolf and myself and, a handful of independent journalists. Like, we need the big ones. It's just like 2020 when Rush Limbaugh was silent and Mark Levin was silent and Sean Hannity was silent and Tucker Carlson was silent. Megyn Kelly was silent. Fox News was silent. The entirety of the Republican Party silent, besides Tom Massie. Look at the similarities with this budget battle. One man, Tom Massie. We are in a 2020 style event right now, and I believe that they're planning something, and I think it's going to be financial. And we all need to brace ourselves and get ready to stand up and resist. We saw what we could do as a minority, 30 to 40%. I remember that number, that resisted the COVID-19 vaccines, that said no, that were brave. They stood up. We used our voices. We talked to everyone we know. And when they tried to smash us down and belittle us and berate us and censor us and shut our mouths, we said no. We stood up and we spoke out louder. I think that we are coming to that point sooner rather than later. I thought maybe we would have a year or two. This would happen in the second or third year, but this might be happening right now. So gird up your loins. Put on your big boy pants and your big girl pants. The truth is scary, but it will set us free. And get ready for what's coming, because I think that we're going to have a very interesting 2025. But I also think that they don't have nearly as much power as we think that they have. All right. They're not that smart. They're not that powerful. They're powerful, but we can still beat them. So make sure you keep it tuned here, where we're going to talk about solutions. We're going to talk about how to fight back. We're going to get into more of the work of Naomi and Catherine on Friday. And tomorrow we have a great guest, Dr. Basima Williams on EMF. And we're going to look at health and wellness with her as well here on the Shannon Joy Show. So thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for being with us on the Shannon Joy Show. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the show. Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show.